how are the things that, how do you measure and communicate the value of data and analytics? Oftentimes I get this question like, how do I communicate that? Because sometimes it can feel a little squishy. So how do you go about doing that?
You cannot be a data person without measuring something. And that's the essence of what we do, right? The problem that I have with measures in general is we tend to focus on what I would call defensive measures. Okay, the number of incidents we have, the number of exceptions, or the net promoter score when it comes to the client perception of our services, all these kind of things. So it's very, very focused on data itself rather than, again, a business outcome. So what I'd like to do better is actually try to express the value of data in terms of business capabilities. So an example of that is, okay, how many contacts do we have with a client during the onboarding process? An average in our industry is 7 to 15. But our company used to be at 25, which means you don't collect the data the way you want or the way you need, and the clients are pissed at you because you interfere all the time. So if you start streamlining the collection of data for your client onboarding, then you have less interactions, therefore you're more streamlined and you're better. So that will be an indicator of a business capability that you're developing for your company. The speed of onboarding clients or new products, time to market in our industry is very, very critical. So if it takes 6-7 months to create a new ETF and to sell it on the market, it's not going to fly with the Vanguards and BlackRock of this world. So we need to have these kind of indicators that are more a reflection on the value of data for business capabilities. Another example we had recently, we just reconnected our infrastructure to our website so that we can push data intraday without any problem. It used to be on a weekly basis. Now it's intraday. We can update our online, whether client-specific data or generic product data. We do that intraday now. So these are the kind of things that are very, very critical. But make no mistake, is if you're not very far in your maturity journey, there is no way you can start discussing business capabilities if you don't have your foundations right. So that's where the combination of those defensive measures I was talking about and those more business-oriented measures become better. So I would say that you need to have both. But what is critical in the messaging is when you stress how you enable business development, this is far stronger than showing how good your data quality is.
Oh, that's excellent. And in fact, value delivery, as you had highlighted, it's so connected to the business strategies, and it's dependent upon those relationships between digital, data, analytics, the business strategies, and the execution. Is there a methodology that you use or way that you have been able to map and link these dependencies to understand the value chain of data?
Well, that's the most difficult thing, honestly. And if I had a magic wand, I would make so much money about that. But, it's crazy. So I think the way I understand that is really a combination of good data governance, probably a strong organization around it, meaning that that's aligned with everything we want to do. And the last thing, but not the least, is the business capability model. So I'll go into each one of those. Okay. Data governance is about bringing together a wider perspective on how data is used. Because when you think of it, I've never seen one data owner tell me that her data was not good enough. I've never seen that. But the consumers of that same data, they complain that their data is not of the quality that they expect. So when you put data governance together, you have the producers and the consumers around the same table. You realize that you're widening the perspectives of each one of those, so that you're now getting at the data quality, but at company-wide level, not at the individual silo, individual department level. So good data governance at the very bottom of the pile is very important. But as I was saying earlier, connecting data to business capabilities is very critical. So we use a business capability model that will help us understand what data is linked to specific capabilities we want to deliver. or do we want to develop actually? So when you have that, now you have some kind of a framework for priorities in your world, because you know that 2 or 3 critical data sets are linked to that specific capability that you want to have. And therefore you need to work on that. That's your priority. The third thing is the organization. So organization is difficult to explain because it again goes back to the maturity thing, which is really one of the foundation stone for everything we do in data management. So if you're not mature enough, most of the time you have scattered data operations everywhere in your organization, and therefore it becomes very difficult to align those dots. So what we've done in Janus Henderson after I joined the company is say, we did that assessment and we said, no, we cannot accept that anymore. We need to regroup everybody under one single group, which I lead now. So that's why I have data operations, data stewardship, data insights, and everything else. It's because we wanted to make sure that maturity or the lack of maturity of our organization at the time would not harm us on our way to get better. So many organizations are very mature and they have their data operations in operation, data governance as part of different group and all these kind of things, but we are not there yet. So having a strong organization is very, very important, especially when it comes to connecting data to the portfolio of projects that you have. So that connection between data management and some organizations call it the PPO, the project portfolio organization or project portfolio office, is very critical. And if you don't have a PPO, maybe that's your enterprise architecture team doing that. But that connection between data and that specific group is very, very critical too.
I really like how you came at that approach. So you described in terms of how you've opened up the view of data, how you've made it tangible with the capabilities, and also the organization implementation model. Because I think oftentimes, we struggle with, there's often that question of decentralized or centralized teams, our degree of maturity, but yet at the same time, I've got to deliver, right? Back to your earlier point, I got to deliver. And when we get down into what's the challenge or what's the thing that we need to overcome, sometimes because of we haven't looked at the capabilities, the maturity, and maybe we've got too much of that fractured nature in organizations, we're challenged with delivery, and we have to come back to revisiting some of those goals and objectives. So I really like how you pulled all of that together.
To complete that, it also removes the subjectivity, because in an organization like ours, investment professionals are usually the louder voice, and you tend to assign more resources to investment compared to salespeople or HR people. But when you start looking at this capability model, then you're in a situation where everybody is equal. And you can say, from a company perspective, this capability is number one that we need to develop. And therefore, I need to assign my resources on that development. So that helps.
That's exactly right.
Conflict resolution phase, let's put it this way.